And we are on Kuf Chav Ches Amud Beis 128b. We had seen the Mishnah says how one may or may not help an animal birth on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, but on a woman are you allowed to help on Shabbos, birth completely and do whatever she needs. So the Gemara says, and it's about 10-15 lines from the bottom. Miyalden Asit Yisha, Mechti. Let's analyze. Tanila Miyalden Asit Yisha, V'Korin L'Chachamim M'Makam M'Makam M'Chalas HaShabbos. It says that you help a woman give birth and call her aid even from another city, which essentially is a midwife, but it says Chachama, her aid, her midwife, from one city to another city, which is transgression on Shabbos, to move to travel from one city to another. And it says Machan L'Asa Shabbos, and she would break and we break Shabbos for her. So what is that adding? La'asuyeh mai. La'asuyeh, the Tanur Rabbana, to teach this halacha that the Chachamim taught. If she needs a candle lit, in other words, she needs light in the room, then her friend can light a candle for her on Shabbos. Meaning a Jewish person can light a candle on Shabbos because the laboring woman needs it. And if she needs oil, a friend will bring her oil, regardless of what it would take. Biyad, she can bring it by hand, meaning in the palm of her hand. And if it's not enough, if she brings it by hand, she brings it in her hair. And we'll see soon what that means. Simply, the Gemara thought it means that she puts oil into her hair and wears it out that way in the public domain, and then squeezes it back out. And if it's not enough in her hair, she brings it in a vessel. In other words, she's allowed to carry it proper from one place to another, even through a public domain, in order to bring oil for this laboring woman. Amar Ma. So Gemara says that the teachers, that the students analyzed. The teacher said, "Of course, she can light a candle for her. You can break Shabbos for her. So why would candle be different if she can travel from one city to another? We needed besuma to tell you, even if the woman who's in labor herself is blind, so she herself doesn't need a light, but she wants, for her own comfort and for her own relaxation, not relaxation, but to diminish the anxiety of going through this, she wants there to be candles lit. You also light it. Let's say if she demands it, but she can't see anyhow, so therefore we wouldn't do it. Therefore, we see that to calm her is necessary, and we break Shabbos just to help her feel more calm. So, because Savar, she thinks if there's something that is needed, so my friends will see it and be able to do it for me, and therefore I want it to be that there's light. This is the halacha, and therefore anybody that she needs to go with her, anybody she needs to be in the room, all of those things are a suvi daite, common with her and permissible.
This is for any Misukan, right? I mean, any time.
Sorry?
Is this any different than any time that a person is a Misukan that?
No, a cholesh b'sakana, someone who's in an ailment that has a danger, and they need them, they need that help. So then that's what's done for them. And then
so these are the same halachas apply. I mean, it's just no different than any other.
Right. It tells us the halachas of cholesh b'sakana. Correct. Is someone who's sick and is in a state of danger. If she needs oil, so there are various ways of bringing the oil. First, try by hand, through in her hair, or bring a vessel outright. So typically mishum schita. The problem of the hair is that you're squeezing it out, and you're not allowed to squeeze, as we've learned. You're not allowed to extract a liquid that's absorbed within in another substance. That's schita, and therefore, why put it in her hair to carry it, to squeeze it out? Either way, you're doing a prohibition. Either you're carrying in a public domain or you're squeezing it out. So Rabbi Yosef and schita b'seir. So Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef both say actually there is no squeezing in hair, at least not on a Torah level. Rambam indicates that it is a rabbinic prohibition. Others say that it's totally permissible, that there is no, because it's not a schita, it's not absorbed in the hair, but it's stuck between the hairs. Either way, it's not a Torah prohibition. And Rav Ashi says, and even if you say that there is a Torah prohibition of squeezing out the hair from the oil that you poured into it in order to bring her the oil, nevertheless, our mission doesn't mean that. But rather what it means is that she will take a vial of oil that she needs to bring to her, to massage to massage into her, and nevertheless, it doesn't mean that she pours it into hair and squeeze it out. It means that she ties that into her hair, in a knot in her pony, as a way of carrying it without carrying it in a normal way, which would then be a Torah prohibition of carrying in a public domain, and you diminish whatever possible to be done. Because even when you're doing for a chodesh yesh b'sakana, if there is something that you can easily do without a change that you can easily do that would not change, that would still benefit the one who needs it, the sick person, in a similar way, in the same way, that change should be done. The woman in labor calls man shakever b'suach beinam ratzichani bein le'am ratzichani mechal Shabbos. While the womb is open, meaning she is still in labor, active labor. So then, whether she says she needs it or not, we do whatever she needs. And we even break Shabbos. Nistama kever, but once the labor is over, meaning she completed the birth, and the womb is closed, Bein Amrat Tzrichani, Bein Lo Amrat Tzrichani. Now we go to Kuf Chav Tes Amud Aleph 129a. Whether she says she needs it or not, Ein Mechalas Shabbos. We don't break Shabbos for her. So if she says I need the candle lit, and it's post birth already, so that we're not going to break Shabbos for her. However, Rav Ashi is more lenient, and he says no, it depends. Masni Hachi. Marzutra, that's what Rav Ashi said. Marzutra Masli, this is what Marzutra taught. He was more lenient. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, in the name of Shmuel. Chaya, a woman who is in labor. Kozman Shekeva Pesuach, as long as the womb is open. Bein Amra Tzrichani, Bein Amra Ein Tzrichani, Mechal Nasa Shabbos. Regardless whether she says she needs it, or even if she says, I don't need that. We do it on her behalf in any case, because she is in a life's danger, in a grave situation, and we break Shabbos for her. However, Nistama Kever, once the birth is over, so Amra Tzrichani Mechal Shabbos. If she says she needs it, then we listen to her and we break Shabbos. Lo Amra Tzrichani, if she does not say she needs it, Ein Mechal Shabbos, then we don't break Shabbos for her. So we have Marzuter, who is lenient and says that after birth as well, if she says she needs it, we do it for her. And Rav Ashi is strict and says that no, after birth, we even if she says she needs it, we don't do it for her. Hilchas Kaman. Who is the halacha like? The halacha is like Marzuter because Safik Nefashis Lagam. Anytime you have a doubt and danger of life, we're going to be lenient. So at what point does it count like she's already in labor that we would break Shabbos for her? So Abaye says from the moment that she sits on the birthing table, which really is towards the end of labor back when. The Rav Huna Berei Rishua, he says, Amar Mishosha Hadam Shoises V'Yored, from when the moment she's bleeding. Or for when she can't walk anymore between contractions, that her friends have to carry her by her arms. And the halacha is each one of these is a sign of the halachic status of labor, where you break Shabbos for them, on account of that for each woman, the moment of labor or the signs of labor are different. Some women, have begin with blood, some don't. Some begin with inability to walk, some don't. So it depends for each woman, and therefore all three of these are a sign of the beginning of labor. Until when does it count that she's a labor, which we saw earlier, that the halacha is that even if she doesn't ask for help, we help her and we'll break Shabbos on her behalf, even if she doesn't ask for it until this moment. So what is this moment? Abaye says 3 days after birth. Rava Shiva. And Rava says actually it's 7 days after birth. When some say it's 30 days after birth. And they said actually it's 3 different halachas, and there are 3 stages in the afterbirth process. So Chaya, Gimel, Zayin, Valam. So Gimel, what is the 3? Bein Amra Tzricha Ani, Bein Amra Leitzricha Ani, Mechalas HaShabbos. That up until the 3rd day, meaning including 3 days. So first 3 days, it's considered that she's still during the birthing process, and anything she needs, whether she says she needs it or whether she says she doesn't need it, Shabbos may be broken on her behalf because she's considered a cholah sheyesh ba sakana. She's a woman in an ailment that has danger, because even though the birth has happened already, the afterbirth itself is dangerous. There can be loss of blood. There can be various ailments that come afterwards, and therefore everything she needs is done for her. Zayin, from the 3rd day, meaning the 4th day and on, Amra Tzrichani, if she says she needs it, then we break Shabbos for her. Amra Leitzrichani, if she says she doesn't need it, then we don't break Shabbos for her. And that's up until the 7th day. And from the 7th day until the 30th day, then even if she says she needs it, we don't break Shabbos for her, right? But she's still not the same as everyone else, as we'll see. But we do use a non-Jew to do what she needs. And normally we wouldn't tell a non-Jew to do something, but we can tell a non-Jew, even though that usually we say that we don't do, we don't tell a non-Jew to do work for you on Shabbos, and you're not allowed to benefit from their work, as we saw earlier. Here, you're allowed to. All needs of a sick person is allowed to be done on Shabbos. And what kind of sick person are we talking about? Are we talking about a sick person that life is in danger or potential life danger, which I saw before? Then you do it yourself. So must be was talking about a sick person that's not in life's danger. It's something that it is not a life danger, but it still is an ailment. So there you tell a non-Jew to do it, and he will do it. But something that has a sakana, something that is a life danger, then of course the Jew himself must do it, and as quickly as possible. And what is a 30-day point? So if it's after 7 days, so anytime after 7 days is like a chola. So now up to 30 days is for Tevila, because she's not allowed to go to the mikveh until the 30 days because she could catch a cold. Back in times of the Gemara, the mikvahs were not heated. And so to go to a mikveh, she'd have to go to pretty cold water, and she can catch a cold. And because her weakened state, she wouldn't go to the mikveh until 30 days because it was dangerous. Rava said, Rava said that's only if her husband's not with her. Aval, Baila Ima, and if her husband's with her, meaning once she goes to the mikveh, she'd come home and she'd be tahor and permissible to her husband. Baila Machamama, so then her husband will give her warmth after by relations and keeping her warm, and that's not and therefore she can go to the mikveh even to a cold day. Yehad the brother of Chisda, like the daughter of Chisda, which was the wife of Rava. Tavla begoitalta yema shalib b'fnei bala, who went to the mikveh within 30 days after birth, and her husband wasn't home. Veitztani in Nias, and she got a chill. Vamtuya arsa la arsa brate de Rava lepumbadisa, and they brought her bed to Pumbadisa, where Rava was. Make a fire for a woman in labor on Shabbos. You can make to warm up the room. Seemingly, you meant to say you can make a big fire. You can put the oven on, the fireplace on for a woman in labor, but not for someone who is sick. And only in the winter when that's needed, but not in the summer. But the Gemara says it's not true. That's not the case. Loishna chaya, loishna chayla, loishna b'masek shaman, loishna chama med'itma, amar b'chibar Rabban, amar Shmuel, and it makes no distinction. There's no difference for any type of ailment at any season. You do whatever is needed for the person who is sick. Like Rabbi Avin said in the name of Shmuel, we're going to see some halachas of Shmuel was a doctor, and some of the halachas of ailments. Hikis dam v'nitztani. Somebody who did a bloodletting, which was done as a healing, as for medicinal reasons, v'nitztani, and then got a chill after that. So even in the summer, you would make a fire for him. So you see that there's no distinction. Shmuel for Shmuel, they didn't find a wood, and they needed to make a fire for him. So they broke apart a very expensive chair in order to. And made that put that in the fireplace, because the fire is so important that even such an expensive chair, if you didn't find it, go ahead and make the fire, and even though it was in the summer. Rabbi Yehuda tzachal lepetura the a type of a cedar tree was cut down for him to make a fire for him. Rabbi tzachal sharshifa. For Rabba, they broke apart a bench, a stool. So what you're wasting, you're destroying a good vessel, a good chair. Well, wasting a body is even, a person is even more of a waste. So yes, it's true, but if this is what the person needs, we're going to do that, even though that we're destroying good furniture on account of that. It's important. If somebody got a chill after a bloodletting, that's a dangerous state. You have to make a fire for them. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, lo elam yikra adam b'keres beisay v'yikach min alam l'raglav. A person should even sell the roof of his house in order to make sure he has shoes. And if he, and even more important than shoes, is if he had a bloodletting and he doesn't have what to eat afterwards, and it's necessary, and it's a necessity to eat afterwards. So then he should sell his shoes to get some food, and he should take the needs of a meal. So what kind of meal is needed after bloodletting? So Rav says you need meat. And Shmuel says that you need wine. Rav Amabasar nafsha cholaf nafsha, that you need meat. You need meat in place of meat, soul instead of in place of soul. So I guess the blood within the meat. Shmuel Amayayin sumka cholaf sumka. You need red to replace the red, which would seem that they would have red wine for after a bloodletting. Shmuel, but Yemen David Milsa. Shmuel, on the day that they did a bloodletting, Avdile Tavshila de Tachli would eat a dish made with spleen. Rabbi Yochanan would drink so much that the smell came out of his ears. Rabbi Nachman Shasi had the kafi tachli. Rabbi Nachman ate until his own spleen hardened. I don't know how you what these signs mean other than that he drank a lot of wine. Rabbi Yosef Shasi had the nafik meriv to the kasilta. He drank until it came out from his pores, from the hair holes in his body. Rava mahada achamra batlasa tarfi. Rava would always make sure that it was at least 3 years old wine. Amar Luhu Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak le Rabbanon v'matusa minayich. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said to the Rabbanon, please, I beg of you. V'yomin hakaza amar beitaychu. The day that you have a bloodletting, please tell your wives, tell your households, whoever's feeding you, Nachman ikla legaba, v'kulu armai Nachman cave, and all of the Kulu Arumi Asiri. Nachman is coming, make a big meal. In other words, we have a great guest coming. And everything, and the Gemara is going to explain what this line over here means. The Kula Arumi Asiri Bar Mehayarma. All tricks are prohibited besides for these. The Shari, that which is permissible. Manda Avid Milsa, meaning somebody out of bloodletting is allowed to make sure that they feed him well, so he's allowed to make a trick, meaning not tell the truth in order to get the meal. And he doesn't have the ability to buy wine. So what he should do is he should take a coin and go into a bar and say, hey, can I taste your wine on tap? And they let him taste it. And then he says, yeah, I'm not going to buy this. And then go to the next and go to 7 places so that he can have enough to drink. This way he'll have between all the tastings, he'll have enough to have at least a revius, which is about 3 ounces of wine, which is the minimum he needs in order to replenish his strength after bloodletting. And if not, he should. He doesn't even have this bad coin that he can go and do this a trick where he'd go from place to place. So then you should take. You should eat 7 black dates and smear oil on his temples. And he should lay in the sun. Avlet met Shmuel, who was laying in the sun. Amalei Hakim the Yudoy Bisha Miavatava. Wise man of the Jews. The sun is really hot. It's bad for you. Is it in any way? Is it good for you? Amalei Yemidakazu. It's a day that I did a bloodletting, and therefore it's important to be in the sun. And it's not true. There are days that the sun is good for you, like the day that the Tkufa of Tammuz, the summer comes, that it's good to be in the sun. But he didn't want to tell him. Anybody who's lenient and doesn't take care of the meal on the day that he had a bloodletting is really taking his life in danger, and therefore the meals that he needs for the year are going to be less. In other words, if somebody thinks that they are going to be skimpy on a meal after a bloodletting so that they don't spend too much money, the result is going to be that actually they're going to have less the rest of the year. So go ahead and have your meal now so that you don't lose out your food the rest of the year. Because we say, look, if you don't care about your life, why should we provide from Shemayim? Why should Shemayim provide for you and what you need? Rav Shmuel both also said, Milsa, somebody who did this manner, meaning he had a bloodletting. You should not sit where there's the window is open. In other words, where there's a strong wind. Maybe there's going to be too much blood coming out, and it won't be able to stop his bleeding, and he'll be down to a revius, the minimum amount of blood a person can live. And then blood will come and take some even more some from there, and he's going to be in danger for loss of blood. Shmuel, Avaragav Avid Milsa Babesa, the Shavel of Inti. Shmuel, when he did a bloodletting, he would always do it in a brick house as opposed to something that could let the wind through. And Shevel of Inavaricha, it had bricks, it was and plaster, so it was very thick, seven bricks. Whether it means 7 thick or a height. One, Rashi says they were side by side, Gimel Tfachim, and then half in between. So it was basically a 7 tefach house, which was, I don't know, about 20 odd inches thick. One day, one day he did it, and he did a bloodletting in the house, but he didn't feel good. So he had them check and realized that the house was not as thick as the walls were not as thick as he had thought, and some of the wind had come through. It was missing a brick. Somebody had a bloodletting must taste something right away. And only then should he go out. Because if he does not, if he meets somebody, I don't remember what this is. 1 second. If he meets somebody who is dead, if he encounters a deceased person after that, his face will be green, and if he meets somebody who had killed somebody, he will die. Now, and now we turn to Kuf Chav Tes on base 129. And if he meets somebody, and if he meets a pig in the market, so that will cause it'll cause him to get a tzaras. There are two things that in the Gemara they would not mention and would be called davar achra, the other matter. There are actually a few things sometimes, but the two things, davar acher, are a pig. Was not mentioned as a pig. Rather, instead of saying chazir, often the Gemara would say davar acher, of the other matter. And saras was often not mentioned by name. The leprosy or saras, the kind of leprosy that the Torah is talking about, would not be mentioned as leprosy, but rather as davar acher, another matter. So if he encounters a davar acher, a pig, the result is that it's kasha davar acher. He may get davar acher, meaning the tzaras. Rav Shmuel Damar Tavayu Haimad David Milza Lishipurta. Somebody who did a bloodletting, so he must wait a little bit before he gets up. Should not get up quickly. Lishipurta v'hadalekam, and only thereafter should he get up. The Amar Mar, as the teacher had taught, there are 5 things that are close to death if a person gets up too quickly. Hey devarim krivim lemisa yesam anachayim. They are closer to death than alive if somebody gets up quickly. Ve'elaheim, and these are the ones that are if somebody gets up too quickly. Ve'elaheim achal va'amad. If he ate and immediately got up, he didn't let the food settle a little. Shasa va'amad, he drank wine and got up quickly. Yoshev va'amad, he was asleep and jumped up and got up quickly. Heikez dam va'amad, he had a bloodletting and got up quickly. Shimish mitase va'amad, he had intercourse, relations, and he got up quickly. Amar Shmuel, Hursa dedama kal talten yoma. The time for the replenishment of the blood that you would have the next bloodletting is 30 days. Bein Approx, and after a person is 40 years old, then he should slow down and have it less. Yamait, and then it should have it less than every month, or rather every 2 months. And then Ubein Approx, and after the next stage in life, which is after 60. So then Yapsav Yamai, he should take it even less than that, which is that he should have it every 3rd month. Meaning 3 months between them. Ba'amar Shmuel further said, Pursa Dadama Chad B'Shabsa. Chad B'Shabsa, Arba Umay L'Shabsa. The appropriate time to have bloodletting is either on Sunday, or on Wednesday, or on Friday. Aval B'Sheni V'Chamishi, but on Monday or Thursday, that's not a good day. Look, you should not have that. The Amar Mar, as the teacher taught, in other words, who learned this halacha, Mishi Yeshos Chusavis, somebody who has the merit of parents who their merit was so great that it can protect them, Yakas Dam Masheni V'Chamishi. They could do a bloodletting on Monday and Thursday. In other words, it's very dangerous, and somebody may not survive unless they have the merit of great merit of their ancestors. Because on Monday and Thursday was a day that the courts, the Beis Din, was sitting. And therefore the heavenly courts would sit as well on Monday and Thursday, because the Beis Din above is in line with the Beis Din below. And if the Beis Din above is sitting, and people are in judgment, and on a day of judgment where somebody's actions are being considered, is not a good day to have a bloodletting, because maybe they won't have the merit to pass it. Well, okay, so you said Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, and you said Monday and Thursday you can't do. So what about Tuesday? Now there's a different reason, because Mars Ma'adim is in its mazel, and that's a time that symbolizes blood, and it's not a good time. That's why it's not a good time to have bloodletting. Well, what about Friday? Friday it also has that same cycle that Ma'adim is in its place. It's also a mazel of Ma'adim, of Mars. Gemara says it's true. However, even though that it is dangerous to do it on Friday, since people have already accepted that it's okay to do it on Friday, people are accustomed to doing that. They trample this concern. And Shem Hashem, anytime there's something that is dangerous but is common, then one may continue to do that, because ultimately the healing and safety of a person come from Hashem. A person has to do the normal hishtadlus, the normal care for oneself to make sure that they're healthy. If they are even though that's something they may think is dangerous, since everybody does it, and it is a common thing to do, it is within the norm, and they should act that way, showing that Hashem is the one that protects even things that are foolish. Hashem is the one ultimately that protects. Amar Shmuel Arba, the Wednesday, which is the fourth week of the month. So the last Wednesday of the month, essentially. Arba du Arbesa, and the Wednesday, which is the 14th of the month, and Arba du Esra Arba, and the Wednesday, which is the 24th of the month, Arba du Leka Arba Basrei, and also a Wednesday that doesn't have 4 more days left in the month, Sakanta. These are bad. These are dangerous days to do a bloodletting. So even though they're allowed to do it on Wednesday, but it should not be a Wednesday that have any of these other 4s in it. Rosh Chodesh, V'Sheni Loi, Chulsha. The new moon, the Rosh Chodesh, and the second day of the month are both not good for bloodletting and dangerous, because it causes too much weakness. Shlishi Loi, the third day of the month, Sakana. That's also a danger. Mali Yamatava, the day of Erev Yantiv, Chulsha. That's also going to cause weakness. Mali Yamadat Sarta, Sakanta. And the day before Shavuos, Erev Shavuos, is also a danger to do a bloodletting. Because Rabbana Akulam Mali Yamatava, and therefore Chazal said, the Chacham said, every Erev Yantiv you can't do a bloodletting on account of that. And because of the Erev Shavuos, which is dangerous, they said all Erev Yantiv you can't do a bloodletting. The Navik Bezika or Shmei Tavach, and the danger is that a wind will come, a certain wind comes, its name is Tavach, which means slaughter. Because the Ila Kibli Yisrael Torah have a Tavach le'V'Sarayu Damayu, because if Bnei Yisrael had not received the Torah, then it would have caused destruction to people's blood and flesh, and so opening a wound like that is dangerous. Okay, Shmuel continues with another remedy for bloodletting. Amar Shmuel, somebody ate wheat and then had a bloodletting. So the bloodletting was only on account of the wheat. Wheat is very heavy for a person, and it's only going, instead of healing him properly, it's only going to remove that heaviness. Ma'ani mili l'refua. That's if he's doing it for healing, so the healing won't work because he's eating wheat. Ava la'kuli mekel. But if a person is having bloodletting because he's feeling heavy, lethargic, or something like that, so then this will help him, even though he's had wheat to eat. Amekas dam, shtil alte. Somebody who had a bloodletting immediately drinking is going to help him. Achila ad chatzimil. However, eating, he should not eat right away, but rather he should wait as long as it takes to travel a half mil. which is a few minutes. Whether it's 18 minutes, 23 minutes, 30 minutes, or he has to wait a bit. If he drinks right away, that's helpful. But if he waited and then he drank, it's actually no good. So you must drink right away or not have a drink for a while. Dilma, or perhaps that's not what it means. It's not beneficial drinking later. It is beneficial to drink right away. So we said you cannot eat right away, and you should drink right away. Does that mean drink right away because later it's dangerous? Or drink right away because later it's ineffective? Teku, we don't know the answer to that. Another question was asked. The kamali. If he ate after waiting 30 minutes, whatever, until half a meal, that helps. But only at that moment does it help. But prior to that or after that, it's dangerous. Or perhaps it's not beneficial, and it's also not going to be good for you. It's not dangerous to have a drink, to have food beforehand or later than that, but that's the time that it's going to be work. Teku, again, for this, we don't know the meaning of Shmuel, whether it's just neutral or actually detrimental. Machriz Rav made an announcement. Meyakar bezuzi. Even if the price of gourd is 100 in a zuz, and meyaresha bezuzi, and 100 heads of animal for a zuz, that those are good prices. That's what you should pay. Because they're unhealthy, so don't have these foods. But lips of animals, I don't know what kind of food that is. Don't pay anything for it because it's not worth even 100 of them for a zuz. So he's saying don't buy these foods because they are detrimental or not good for you. Rav Yosef Ke'avina me Rav Huna. When I was studying by Rav Huna, Yom de Pagri be Rabbanan Amri in the Yom de Shvami. It was the day that Yom de Pagri Rabbanan, the day that the Chachamim were weak, and therefore they didn't come into the academy to learn. And we call it the day of the lips because it was useless. They didn't have any learning. But I didn't know what he was saying until I heard this teaching of Rab, who said, "Oh, that this lips that they would sell in the market is useless and worthless. So too, the day that the Chachamim didn't come to learning also is a useless day." Back to the Mishnah. The Koshel es atabu, and we tie the umbilical cord. Turn about a Koshel atabu. That you tie the umbilical cord, and also you cut the umbilical cord, and the sac and the placenta are buried because that it would help the child warm. That the daughters of the princesses, so they would they would hide the umbilical cord, meaning they would bury it in buckets of oil, and daughters of rich people, so they couldn't use that much oil. What they would do is besfugim shel tzemer. They would bury it or hide it in wool buckets, in wool shmatas, sponges. What about the poor people? They would use rags. Amar Nachman Rabbi Rabu Amar Rabbi Halacha Rabbi Yossi. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi that not only are you allowed to knot the umbilical cord, but you're even allowed to cut it. Amar Nachman Rabbi Rabu Amar Rab. Because by twins, everybody would agree that you're allowed to cut it. My timer. What's the reason that that you're allowed to cut it? Even the Chachamim say you're allowed to cut it. The menatre adadi, because since there are twins, they could be pulling at each other, and it could bring them to a danger if you don't cut the umbilical cords. In the name of Rav, all of the statements that Yecheskel said in regards to the chesed that Hashem does for Klal Yisrael, you're allowed to do for a woman in labor, b'Shabbos. Shenema, for it says, Lekaras Sharech or Maim Lerochatz, on the day of your birth. It says a list of things that were not done, which we see are necessary to be done. So what are they? Lekarach Sharech of a Maim Lerochatz Lamishi veHamlich Lehum Lach veHachte Lechuthalt. So what does it mean? Malodetayich be'amuledes mikan shemiyalden savlad b'Shabbos. That you give birth on the day you give birth, so you see that you have to do it even on Shabbos. What does that mean? They didn't cut your line. You see that you cut Shabbos because it's and you will not walk. See that the child it gets washed on Shabbos, even warm water, and you make warm water for it. And you would not salt him. They would put salt on the child. That was the way that they would rub the child to get them started and feel good. And you were not wound up. You were not bound. We see that you wrap the child to warm him on Shabbos and to keep it and to get his body in shape and in place. These are the halachas that you're allowed to do for Kollel on Shabbos. With this, we complete the 18th paragraph.